At this time, I have the honor of introducing our keynote speaker, Dr. Marc Brackett. Dr. Brackett and I have worked together for some time on social and emotional intelligence for students, for everyone. Actually, he's improved mine some. Dr. Brackett comes to us from Yale. He is the executive director of the Center for Emotional Intelligence at Yale. He is a believer in developing the whole child. And I also believe that. Obviously, I want high test scores. I want great student achievement. But I know that great student achievement cannot come and be sustained without developing the social and emotional well-being of all of the children. And so this is the culture and the foundation that I want to bring to Bridgeport schools while I'm here. It's important. It's not a soft skill. It's something that we need to build on, and then we will get that student achievement that we want. Dr. Brackett is, I'm honored because he's not only a Connecticut-wide person, he is national and he's international. Millions of students have been involved in this ruler program, which he will explain to you. We hope to roll it out in Bridgeport, and during the school year, we are going to take it very slow and very deep. It is not another program. It is, in fact, a culture that all of us will subscribe to. I tried it in my former district. I used it for 3 years. The suspensions and the bullying rate were cut in half, if not more. I also know that Marc is incredibly talented and has been cited by the Ziegler Foundation. He's been awarded by the Ziegler Foundation. And right now, believe it or not, he's working with Facebook on 2 projects, a large-scale study to prevent and decrease bullying, and the second is an online bullying prevention center for children. So please welcome to the podium Dr. Marc Brackett.
Good morning. I feel like I've made it, right? It's sort of like, hello, Bridgeport. So, Fran, thank you for the invitation to speak with all of you. And let's take this on a little bit of a ride. So, we have a center at Yale we call the Center for Emotional Intelligence, and it's very simple. Our goal is to use the power of emotional intelligence to create a more healthy, effective, and compassionate society. And what we do are 2 things. We do research, and we develop innovative approaches to work with schools. And what I thought we'd do really today is make this, it's going to be hard, but I'm going to try it, a bit interactive. Can I ask everyone to please sit up straight in his or her seats? Get some good posture. They say you'll live longer if you have good posture. I don't have the research to support that, but nevertheless. And can I ask everyone to just take a deep breath and just let it go? It's like that song, right? Let it go, let it go. Like, I'm kind of letting go my anxiety and frustration about the parking in this situation. I could tell you that I could analyze Bridgeport schools by watching the teachers getting their parking spots. So please just take a moment and just relax. And what I'd like you to do for a moment is take a little roller coaster ride with me and think about one of your students from last year. I'd like you to take a student into your mind's eye that maybe had a challenging year. And can you just grab that student, please, and put them into your brain? And just go on a roller coaster ride with me, please. It's 5 o'clock in the morning, and this student wakes up. How does this kid feel when he wakes up in the morning? Nourishing breakfast, not nourishing breakfast. Good relationships with parents, not good relationships. Think of the commute to school. Is this kid thinking, oh my goodness, this is going to be a great day? Or is this kid saying to himself, yikes, another day? Entering the school building. How does it feel for that child to enter school? Feedback from teachers. No feedback. Friendships, no friendships. Difficult tests, no tests. Lunchtime. Eating alone or with others. Feeling connected or alienated. How about the afternoon? More tests, more feedback, more courses. And then think about the afternoon. What does it look like for this child after school? Dinner time. Evening time. When this child is putting his or her head to the pillow, what is he or she thinking? I can't wait for tomorrow, or do I really have to go to sleep? Do I really have to get up in the morning? Do I really have to go to this place tomorrow? And I don't want to have you do that to depress all of you, but what I want us to think through, hopefully, for the next 20 or so minutes is why emotions matter. And why they matter for 5 things. One is attention, memory, and learning. So I can tell you from my own experience, right now I have the privilege and honor to be in front of you, but when I was in middle school in New Jersey, I was one of those kids who got bullied a lot. And when I think back about what I learned in middle school, it wasn't very much at all, because I couldn't be present. What we know from our research is that emotions are driving students' attention, their capacity to learn. So if you're highly stressed, guess what? Your brain is thinking, how am I going to get help? Where are my resources? Your brain is not available for learning. Decision making. Does that child who you were thinking about make the best decisions? Good quality relationships. Is that child perhaps on a path to having mental health problems? And just in general, is that child effective? So there is hope. And the hope is that what we know from our work is that if we teach these kids and the adults involved in their lives the skills of emotional intelligence, there is a chance for success. So what I hope to share with you over the next few years are these skills of recognizing emotions. For example, I'm looking at all of you in the audience here and I'm getting really worried. Like, what's going on? Are people here? Are they not here? Everybody seems to be warm and hot. I'm sweating. I'm thinking about taking off my jacket and clothes. That was a Freudian slip, I think. That might have been a Freudian slip. So I'm trying to read my own emotions. I'm trying to read your emotions. I'm trying to understand where are they coming from. Like, why is this child angry or sad or disappointed? Giving that child a vocabulary to describe his or her emotions, how to express them in socially appropriate ways, and certainly how to regulate them. So what we know from our research is that kids with higher emotional intelligence have different lives. They have less anxiety, they have less depression, they're less likely to abuse drugs and alcohol. They're also less likely to be aggressive and bully other kids. What we also know are positive things about them. They have greater leadership skills. They're more attentive and less hyperactive in school, and they perform better academically. Now, interestingly enough, we've had the opportunity to work with teachers like yourselves and have shown that teachers with higher emotional intelligence, guess what? You're more positive about school, have greater support from principals. Just for curiosity, how many of you, when you think about it, like to be around the angry, disgruntled, bitter colleague? How many of you over summer break said, that's the person I want to go on vacation with? My hunch is probably not. We like to be around people who display positive emotions. It just makes life easier. We've also had the privilege of studying classrooms and show that classrooms where there is greater emotional climate have students who just are more engaged learners, they have better relationships, they behave better, and of course they perform better academically. Now, a big question has come up from our research is, like, can you learn these skills? And what I've learned are two things. One is, everybody's got nature, right? We were born by someone. So I was born in a family of two parents who were good parents, but they had no emotional intelligence. So my mother, for example, when I came home with my problems, would say things like this: "Don't tell me, I'll have a breakdown." Right? So I was like, wow, that's interesting, Mom. You'll have a breakdown? I'm 13, but, you know, I'm the one who's having the breakdown. So, like, can we talk about this? Maybe in 20 years I'll have some strategies. So we also, and my father, who was a good guy, also was something like this: "Get to your room. Wait till your mother gets home." Right? Yeah, Dad, so when she has a breakdown, it's like, this is really great. So that was my kind of emotional intelligence training in life. And people wonder why I run around the world talking about why emotions matter. And then you also have your biology, right? Your personality. Like, I'm an anxious kind of guy. Is anyone here a little anxious? Right, you're teachers, you gotta be a little bit worried, right? If you don't worry, nothing goes right. I even worry about why I worry. And then I even have this new thing: I worry about why I worry about why I worry. Because I really don't have anything to worry about, but what the heck, just worry anyway. So what's interesting is that there are skills that we can teach everyone. And my hope is that from preschool to high school, actually from womb to tomb, we can teach children these skills. And I want to take a moment and ask you to think about your emotional development. How much education did you receive on recognizing emotions, regulating emotions? Did you grow up in a family where your parent might have said something like this: "Good morning, honey. It looks like you might be a little bit anxious. Let me give you some research-based strategies to help you regulate." Anybody have that? You know, I don't think so. You know, emotional intelligence is kind of a new phenomenon that we've just been able to define and measure and now teach. So what I want to share with you very briefly is what we do in schools. And my hope is that we need to move away from bullying prevention. I'm actually the anti-bullying guy, because I don't think making rules or holding assemblies or monitoring the hotspots or enforcing consequences or using zero-tolerance policies or even counting on bystanders is really the way to go. I can tell you, when I was a kid, I'm introverted and a little bit timid, so the thought of me having to help someone else out was pretty scary. And my hope is that we can teach kids and adults the skills so that we don't have to rely on bystanders. What we can do is make our schools places where kids feel safe, warm, effective, etc. And I hope what we can move to over the next few years is recognizing that the targets, the perpetrators, and the bystanders all need skill development, that we as adults need it. I can tell you, I'm still working on my emotional intelligence. If you came home with me and asked my family about my emotional intelligence, you'd learn that there is the public self and the private self. Anybody like that here? My guess is that's probably the case. So my hope is that what we'll be able to do in Bridgeport, working first with our leaders, is teach them skills and tools. And there are 4 tools that we have, as you can see up front. And I'm going to go through this very quickly. One is that it's moving away from rules and really focusing on feelings. So I haven't even asked you, how's everybody feeling? All right, that's not good feedback, by the way. How's everybody feeling? Yeah, all right. I mean, give me some support here, man. So what we want to do is move away from having rules and really focus on asking students about their feelings. How do you want to feel working in Bridgeport? I mean, if I asked all of you that, think about it. How do you want to feel working in this school district? My hunch is that you want to feel things like respected. How many of you want to feel respected? Yeah. How many of you want to feel supported? How many of you want to feel safe, motivated, appreciated, enthusiastic? I mean, the list goes on. So I think if we use the lens of emotion and feelings instead of rules, we'll get to the kind of environments that we all want in our schools. And this is what these charters look like. In high schools, they look like little treaties. In elementary school, here's an example. This is a one from 5th grade. They want to feel included, confident, respected, appreciated, energetic, safe, supported, enthusiastic. Here's one from a preschool where they're learning in Spanish, and they say they want to feel contento, they want to feel happy, respetado, respected, and querido, loved. Think about it, 4-year-olds, they want to feel loved. I want to feel loved too at work. The second tool is called the mood meter. It's the tool that my hope you will find so important to your self-awareness that you'll run to the local tattoo parlor perhaps and get one of these. So you can always be checking in with your feelings. So I'm going to ask all of you to just take a moment and think about how you're feeling. I know you're hot, so let's just let it go, let it go. And think about what's going on for you right here in your mind's eye about the new year. You're about to start school. Yellow is high energy, pleasant feelings, like hopeful, optimistic. How many of you were in the yellow? Raise your hand. Okay. How many of you were in the green? You're feeling calm, kind of ready. People in the green? Now, the blue and the red are difficult, right? Because red is high energy and unpleasant. So my hope is that none of you were there today, though you might be. And blue is low energy and unpleasant. Words like down, disappointed, hopeless, despair, depressed. And hopefully we can avoid those feelings this year as well. So when we do this work with schools, what we do is, well, actually, before we go there, I'd like all of you to take a moment and think about, honestly, the word, the best feeling word that describes how you're feeling right now. Just put the word into your mind. Take 3 seconds. 2, 1, freeze. Raise your hand if you had a little challenge finding the right word. Put your hand up high. Hands up really high, like stretch out. So a good half of the room, right, we have trouble finding those words, and we're all educated adults. Imagine what it's like for that kindergartner or preschooler. So in our work, what we do is work with kids to help them identify what emotions look like in these different quadrants. What is the body language? How do people sound? What does it feel like on the inside? And how do they behave? As you can see here, there are a lot of words to describe emotions. Maybe 2,000 in the English language dictionary. Most of us use 4, right? You're in the yellow, you feel great. Green, fine. Blue, you don't use words, right? Red, you're pissed. Actually, it's interesting. I live in New Haven now, and I'm from the New York area. I realize that people don't even have emotions where I live. Nobody even responds. They say, how are you feeling? And it's like, right? It's like, why would you want to know how I felt? We also want to teach kids strategies. I'm asking you a big question right now. How many of you feel like your lives as teachers would be easier, you'd have less stress and burnout if your students had more strategies to regulate their feelings? Raise your hand. Yeah. How many of you would be healthier and happier if your significant others had more strategies regulating their feelings? Yeah. That's what I figure. It's home and work, we know that, right? So we want to teach kids all these kinds of strategies, how to use positive self-talk, how to think about someone who inspires them to get in the yellow, how to manage or get into that green to feel more calm and content and relaxed. And when they're feeling in the blue, how can they put a different spin on it? How can they reframe? Now, you can see this in the classroom. It looks like this. There are apps for kids. There are ways of integrating it into the curriculum, like having a student do some problem solving or write a character in a book and really thinking through the emotions of the character. And we even now have an app out where you can plot yourself into your heart's delight. So you can plot yourself and learn why are you feeling this way, and learn strategies to regulate it. Now, I'm going to ask all of you to take a moment and just read this quote. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our freedom and power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and freedom. So, how many of you think that maybe prolonging that space might help us be a little healthier and happier? That having more strategies might be a way out? And my hope is that over the next few years we can shift the way kids are dealing with their emotions, even some of us as adults, right? Moving from yelling to maybe taking some deep breaths. Moving from negative self-talk, I can't do this, I hate my life, why am I here, to I can do this, I'm going to take the high road. From blaming to reframing. From procrastination to achieving one's goals. From rumination to positive visualizations. From avoidance to finding good support from other people, and from pushing and shoving and beating to problem solving. How many of you feel like that might be a good thing? Thank you. But it doesn't just come naturally. You need tools. I need tools. And what I want to share with you is one tool that we've worked on for a number of years. We call it the meta moment. And there are 6 steps to this tool to help us regulate our emotions more effectively. And what I can promise you is that if you take these 6 steps seriously, you can avoid the 12 steps later. But sorry for that. So the first is something happens. How many of you have triggers? Anybody have triggers? Triggers from students, colleagues, administrators, parents. We're all triggered. I was triggered this morning. I mean, on my right here, that traffic trying to get into this parking lot, I'm thinking like, this is ridiculous. This is, I got to refrain. I'm being filmed today. So we're all triggered. Something happens. Step 2 is that we need to make sense of those triggers. We got to teach kids. Like, that trigger is going to influence you in ways that are maybe not helpful. It's going to make you think a lot of things that maybe will get you in trouble. You might behave in a certain way. Your body is going to get really tense and uncomfortable. The third step is we want to teach people how to breathe. Let's try that together. This is like an opportunity of a lifetime for me. I get 3,000 people to take a deep breath together. Can we all do that, please? Just take one breath and let it go. And just let it go. Step 4 is called see your best self. It's interesting, right? See your best self. See your best possible self. Can I ask all of you to take a moment and visualize your best self? Think about yourself when you go to work this week. What adjective will describe you when you are at your best? What's the word that you would want your students to use to describe you if they were interviewed about you? What kind of person do you want to be? What kind of outcomes do you want? What do you want your reputation to be like? My hunch is it's something like compassionate, caring, creative. And what we found in our research is that when you teach kids and adults to activate their best selves, they choose more effective strategies. It's interesting. They just do. And finally, they're more successful in their interactions. Now, one other thing we want to do is go from me to we. We want to help kids build perspective taking. How many of you feel like kids these days lack a little bit of empathy and perspective taking? And that it might be a good idea to teach them to think about the other's emotions and other people's circumstances. So let me wrap up by saying there's really good research to support this work. That what we know is that when schools adopt this work seriously, they have kids who are less anxious and depressed, they're better problem solvers, they have greater leadership skills, experience fewer attention, learning problems, perform better academically, and of course, the classrooms in schools become more positive places. And my personal goal, by the way, is to create national policy on this. I think that every child deserves an education in social and emotional learning, because I didn't get it. And so you're going to help support that. Just so you know, one fun thing that we're doing is this year we decided that we have to partner with someone who actually can make things happen. So we're working with Lady Gaga, and we're going to put on, seriously, so we're starting what we're calling an emotion revolution, and I hope you're all part of it. And the reason why we're doing that is because, one, we know that children are wired for good. There's just great research to support that. And if attachments at home and at school are positive, they're going to thrive. The second thing is that our children's ability to reach their full potential is really ours to nurture or to neglect. And hopefully, I've convinced you in this very short presentation that providing children and adults with this kind of emotional intelligence training will help them just be a healthier, more effective, and productive students and make a more compassionate society. So I want to wrap up by saying one thing. I've spent 20 years of my life trying to think about how do you make this work, and it's really hard, right? We're trying to go into systems like Bridgeport, Connecticut that have 3,000 teachers, 20,000 kids. And what we know is that it takes a village. And my hope is that over the next 3 years, with our support, with the support of your superintendent, with the support of the community, we can really make a difference in the lives of these kids. And I'm going to ask all of you to just take one sort of last breath with me and imagine the world in 2016, a year from now. Imagine what it would feel like working in your school if children had more strategies to regulate their emotions. They were more self-aware. They had better quality relationships. Their families were more involved in their lives in teaching these skills at home. And I hope you see kind of what I saw. And as James Heckman said it, who is a Nobel laureate, the greatest returns on education investments are from nurturing children's non-cognitive skills, things like emotional intelligence, because that's what's going to lead to success in life. I really appreciate your attendance, your time, appreciate it 100%. Thank you very much.